The other thing I would say to that is what I came to realize throughout this entire process is that when you have deals, there are really two key things that exist. You have a deal, and deals need money. And I figured to myself, the most important way that I can be valuable in a syndication model in particular is to be able to be the person who can help bring some of the capital to close the deal.
I think it's a great path for a passive investor, especially when someone invests passively in a deal or second deal and they're like, this is really cool. And they start telling their friends about it. And before you know it, they're starting to raise money. And now they're asking themselves, well, how do I monetize that? How do I actually become a general partner? And they now transition into the general partnership as more of a capital raiser. Now, there's a lot of maybe misconceptions about what that means, becoming a capital raiser. What does that mean to you? In other words, if you're focusing on capital raiser as a GP, how do you prepare for that, and what's required of you as such a member of a GP?
Yes, it's a great question. People have to realize that because in this space we are not investment advisors, that we have to meet certain SEC rules and regulations. We have to know about what is an accredited investor, what is a sophisticated investor, what's a 506C, what's a 506B, and all of those different types of things that are related to being able to talk about investment. But what led me to it and why I wanted to be in this space is because I do enjoy educating and talking to prospective investors about real estate investment opportunities. And what's required of me to do that, especially in the co-GP model, is to be in a position where not only am I being a part of the general partnership team and educating investors on the investment opportunities, but I am also I'm also responsible for being involved in other aspects of managing the real estate property. Perhaps that's doing some asset management, visiting the properties. Perhaps that is managing the property manager and making sure that they're executing the business plan, or investor relations, something that is material participation in that syndication deal, so that I'm not just quote unquote raising funds. And that was an important thing for me to be able to learn and understand, but then also take advantage of attracting and speaking to investors that are interested in diversifying their portfolio. That was really what I was focused on.
Yeah, so being knowledgeable and being involved in other parts of the GP is a legal requirement, but how does that also help with your capital raising directly?
Yes. So the way that it helps with my capital raising in particular is that you have to be able to communicate to investors what these investment opportunities are, and you have to be able to handle their objections and their concerns. And we all have to realize that in particular, these folks that we're speaking, they're smart, very smart people. And yes, and for the most part, they may not be as immersed in this world as we are, and maybe can filter through some of the things. They're just mostly led by what they're seeing in mainstream media. And so one of the things that I like to do is I don't like to necessarily wait for objections to come up. I like to introduce them myself. And, hey, Chris, how do you do this? Or what about interest rates? And hey, the sky is falling. What about this? And commercial office is really going to take a hit. Aren't you concerned about those things? And I like to confront those things right up front, because it gives me the opportunity to then knock down those objections throughout our conversations. And it's not about eliminating risk, but it's about mitigating risk. And how can I give that investor more reasons to say yes than to say no? One of the quotes that I actually borrow from you often is that a confused mind says no, and I'm a big believer in that. And so I try to reduce the amount of confusion as best as possible.
Now, you've been able to raise a considerable amount of money over the last couple of years, actually. And so let's break it down real quick. What's your advice to someone who's just starting to raise capital kind of for the first time? And then, we'll talk like how did you scale that up a little bit here, but how did you first start off raising capital?
Yes, so I first started off raising capital. When I joined the community, I started looking at what ways can I add value. Am I the person who's going to be the numbers person, crunching all the numbers for the deal, and going deep in the market? Am I going to be the person that's going to be walking every unit, and then when prior to the closing of the property or managing the asset afterwards? Those are some of the questions that came to mind. Or was I going to be the person that would really be helping lead the charge with respect to educating investors and
Mm.
providing them information about the investment opportunities? And that was actually the space that I was most comfortable in. And in fact, the avatar or the folks that I prefer to speak to, and the people in my industry and in my communities, that was something that really energized me. So I gravitated towards that, and that then meant that I needed to make sure that I could find my way in being a valuable member of any team.
Yeah.
And so that's what led me to that position, or to this space initially. And then the other thing I would say to that is what I came to realize throughout this entire process is that when you have deals, there are really two key things that exist. You have a deal, and deals need money. And I figured to myself, the most important way that I can be valuable in a syndication model in particular is to be able to be the person who can help bring some of the capital to close the deal.
That's right. Exactly right. Now, so you probably started tapping into your network and raising money one-on-one, but you've been able to expand that as well. Talk about how you've been able to expand your reach.
Yes, that's such an important thing. So yes, tapping in initially to friends, family, neighbors, all of the folks in my initial network was certainly some, friends of our kids' soccer sports teams. Those are folks who would often have conversations while we're standing on the sidelines talking about, hey, what do you do? What do you do? And we have these exchanges, and that opens up conversations. That's been most of a big part of it. But the other thing that has been really just a tremendous opportunity for me is really talking publicly via social media about what it is that I do outside of my W-2 job. And one of the things that I do in particular is I often post, try and do it mostly daily on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, to share knowledge, nuggets, if you will, of what's going on in the real estate space, or my experiences, or different types of information to help people know. Essentially, what I'm doing is attracting investors, create that ultimately will lead to conversations. So when I'm in the workplace, hey, Chris, I saw that post that you had the other day about topic X or topic Y. I'd really love to learn more about that. Can we have lunch? Can we set up a coffee? Can I reach out to you at night? And then the same thing happens when it comes to speaking with people, at other events or alumni associations, and people reaching out to me from my undergraduate university. Hey, I saw what you're doing. I've been investing in real estate too. I have a few single family homes. I've done this. I've done that. I've been looking at being able to scale my real estate business. Maybe we can talk sometimes. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Come on, let's do it. So that is really talking publicly about that, and being vulnerable, sharing my experiences, helping people that maybe don't even know me be attracted to me and to my path in real estate, and through social media has been a tremendous way of being able to attract investors.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you find there's a particular kind of investor that you're starting to attract?
Yeah, well, in fact, I've been very intentional about this, and so through different through other programs and mentorship programs, I've looked at being able to focus and target my outreach in some cases. So some of this is organic through me posting content, and then the other way that I'm able to engage folks is really through some targeted outreach. So what I mean by that is leveraging LinkedIn, in particular LinkedIn sales message, sales navigator, excuse me, to be able to curate specific audiences that I want to engage on social media. So for example, I happen to be a Black professional with a advanced degree, an MBA. So, and I live in the Northeast. So let's say I want to utilize that segmentation in LinkedIn Sales Navigator to say, give me all of the Black executives in the life sciences industry in the Northeast who have MBAs, and that then creates a list for me, and then I have specific messaging that can then go out and target those individuals that will then say, "Hey, Michael, it's nice to meet you. This is via LinkedIn, by the way. My name is Chris. I'm looking to reach out to other Black professionals who have MBAs, and just build my network. Would you be interested in connecting?" 9 in the 10 times, most people on LinkedIn are like, "Oh, Chris, that's awesome. Yes, let's stay connected." But then that then opens up the follow-up conversation. "Hey, yo, Michael, that it's great. Thank you for connecting. I really appreciate it. In addition to being a Black professional working in the pharmaceutical industry, I also am actively involved in real estate. And some of the things that we do are really focused on helping people add passive income and save on taxes. And, typically, the returns can be better than the stock market. Is that something that you'd be interested in learning more about?" Well, some people say, "Yeah, sure, that sounds interesting." And so that then leads us to having calls, and then we go on from there. So that's how I've been able to leverage social media to be able to create conversations that lead to prospective investors.